Okay, if you have to write an equation, if the vertex is at negative 4, 0, then the other vertex is at positive 4, 0, and the co-vertex is at 0, 1, and the other one is at 0, negative 1. So here's a rough sketch of it. So your equation is going to be x squared over 4 squared, which is 16, plus y squared over 1 squared, which is 1, equals 1. So of course you don't have to write this divided by 1. Okay, number 2, find the equation of ellipse centered at the origin that is 14 units wide. So if it's 14 units wide, that means that this is going to be 7 and this is going to be negative 7. And if it's 8 units high, this is going to be 4, this is going to be negative 4. So my equation is going to be x squared over 7 squared, which is 49, plus y squared over 4 squared, which is 16, equals 1. Okay, number 3, find the foci of an ellipse with this equation and graph it. Well, first I'm going to write this in standard form. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide everything through by 900 because I want this constant over here to be 1. So I'm going to left with x squared over 36 plus y squared over 25 equals 1. So this parabola is going to be stretched side to side 6 units and then up and down 5 units. So in order to find the foci, I need to use the formula c squared equals a squared minus b squared. It's always going to be vertices minus covertices. Vertices minus covertices. Well, I already have these squared right here. So it's going to be 36 minus 25, which is 11. So c squared equals 11. It's always the greater number minus the smaller number. So then c is going to be plus or minus the square root of 11. But when you write foci, you want to write them as ordered pairs. And they're going to be on the x-axis because that's where the major axis is. That's where it's more stretched out. So my foci are going to be at plus or minus root 11, 0. Okay, number 4, find the equation of a hyperbola that has one focus at 4, 0 and a vertex at negative 2, 0. So if I know that the vertex is right here and it's centered at the origin and the other vertex is right here, it's going to look like this. So this tells me it's going to be x squared minus y squared equals 1. Well, I already know that the vertex is on the x-axis, so negative 2 squared is 4. So to figure out what is underneath the y, I need to use c squared equals, so the focus equals a squared plus b squared. So these are the numbers, a squared and b squared are underneath your x and your y. So if I know that 4 squared, which is 16, equals vertices squared, which is 4, plus b squared, then b squared must be 12. So I can just put a 12 underneath the denominator. So that's what I'm writing the equation of. So people mess up with hyperbolas thinking that the vertices have to be bigger than this number. It's not. It's all about the order of this. This is x squared minus y squared, so therefore it has to go this way, and it's okay that this is not bigger because I know that's different than ellipse. Ellipse, the vertices are always greater. In hyperbola, it's not. It's about which one goes first. Okay, number 5, find the equation of ellipse with the given foci and covertices. So again, we're going to use the formula c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So foci is going to be 9, and this is going to be a squared plus 16. So a squared has to be 7. And then you got to think about, is this hyperbola going left and right, or is it going up and down? Well, I can tell it's going left to right because the foci are going left to right, and the foci are always matched up with the vertices. So this one's going to go x squared And now a squared is going to be 7 minus y squared over 16 equals 1. Okay, on the second one, I'm going to use still c squared equals a squared plus b squared. C is 49. My covertices are 100. So in this case, this one is, let's see, that's going to be impossible. You can't have c squared equals a squared plus b squared in this. This isn't going to work because a squared is going to be negative. So this won't work. Number 6, label the foci and the asymptotes. We'll graph it. So first, what I want to do, let's see. My graph ended up on the next page, but I'll just do it right here. So first, I'm going to write this in standard form. So I'm going to clear out the 144. So it's going to be y squared over 9 minus x squared over 16 equals 1. This tells me that this hyperbola is opening up and down. So I can already write that my vertices are at 0 plus or minus 3. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, and down 1, 2, 3. So the second thing I'm going to do is find my asymptotes. So the asymptotes are always y equals plus or minus the square root that's underneath the y. Okay, it doesn't matter, it's underneath the y. It doesn't matter if it's x squared minus y squared or y squared minus x squared. It's always what's underneath the y. So plus or minus the square root of 9, which is 3, over plus or minus the square root of 16, which is 4. And it's always an x with it. So in the past, people have forgot to put the plus or minus, and they didn't have the x. So what you're going to do is go up 3, right 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and up 3, left 4, and those give you the asymptotes right here. So to figure out how to actually draw this parabola more, what you're going to want to do is pick a number in for x and substitute it in to solve for y to get an ordered pair. So I'm just going to use this equation, and I'm going to plug in x equals 4. So then I'm solving y squared over 9 minus 4 squared over 16 minus 1, or equals 1. So what I'm doing is I'm solving for y. So I'm seeing if x is 4, what is the y coordinate? So this is going to be 1. So I'm going to add 1 to each side. So it's going to be y squared over 9 equals 1 plus 1 is 2, times both sides by 9. So I get y squared equals 18. And then on my calculator, I take the square root of 18, which is about 4.2. So a 4.2. So I'm going to go over 4 and up 4.2, which would be about right here. And I can also reflect it and go negative 4 up 4.2, left 4 down 4.2, right 4 down 4.2. So I have these two hyperbolas right there, or these two branches of the hyperbola. And then I'm going to label the foci and the asymptotes. So my asymptotes are going to be at y equals plus or minus 3/4 x. And then define the foci. It's going to be 9 plus 16, because it's a squared plus b squared. So that's 25. And the foci are going to be on the same axes. So the foci are going to be at 0, 5, and 0, negative 5.